Search is now on to find a new leader of Lobo Land because tomorrow UNM's old coach, it's still hard to say that, Steve Alford will officially be introduced as a new coach for the UCLA men's basketball team, that's UCLA Bruins. Alford announced that he was leaving UNM Saturday morning, just days after agreeing to a new 10-year contract with the Lobos that would have guaranteed him more than $1 million a year. At UCLA, he has a 7-year deal worth $2.6 million a year guaranteed. Now here's what we do not know: how much it's going to cost Alford to go to the Bruins. His old contract had somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000 clause in it for a buyout, but his new one that technically goes into effect today has a $1 million buyout clause.
There was a letter of agreement signed. Is that a contract? Is where, you know, our lawyers? Here's what I know, Jeff. Coach's old contract had a buyout in it, and the new contract that was being written based off a letter of agreement had a buyout in it. One way or the other, there's a buyout. How much that is, Steve and I haven't talked about it. Our respective lawyers haven't talked about it, so I can't tell you what that number is.
All right, whatever that number is, you know what? It really doesn't matter for Alford because most likely UCLA is going to pick up the tab. And Coach Alford's jump to the West Coast is making news not just here in Duke City, but all across the country. TV stations, newspapers, websites, and more are still buzzing with the big news. One article says UCLA picking up Alford might not be sexy, but it is solid. Now, they all talk about the pressure Mr. Alford's going to face there. UCLA is the country's most storied college basketball program ever. However, it's had trouble filling the stands the past couple years. For now, Lobos associate coach Craig Neal is going to take over for UNM. And a big question now is what's going to happen with some of the Lobo players? Big man Alex Kirk, you know, he's from New Mexico, and he's already saying that if Coach Neal doesn't get the job permanently, he might look into transferring to UCLA. And Neal, so you know, is a mastermind behind the Lobos offense and has had a big part of Kirk having a sensational season, averaging 12 points and 8 rebounds per game.
I can't promise anything, obviously. I can't say that if Coach Neal got the job, we would all stay. But I can say that it's a tough situation, and we all kind of got to think about ourselves and our families in this situation.
Make sure you stay with KRQE for the latest on Coach Steve Alford leaving and what is now going to be a nationwide search to find the next Lobo basketball coach. We'll have the latest here on air and, of course, at our website anytime at krqe.com. Now to some overnight news. North Valley is back to normal this morning after a suspicious package near a sheriff's station had some roads blocked for a while last night. Deputies tell us about 9:30 they shut down the area near the North Valley Command. It's off 4th Street just north of Osuna. Deputies tell us someone brought in a box of chemicals to the command center there that wanted them disposed. Well, investigators didn't know exactly what those chemicals were or if they were dangerous, so they called in a hazmat team. Well, those agents found out the chemicals were not dangerous and they took care of them. Again, everything is back to normal this morning. Governor Susana Martinez vetoes a bill that would have boosted the minimum wage all across New Mexico, and now Democrats are hoping you are not going to forget this. The bill would have made the minimum wage $8.50 everywhere in the state, the same as what it is in Albuquerque right now, after voters increased it last year. Governor Martinez wanted to compromise on this issue with a 30-cent raise, but Democrats said that wasn't good enough.
Democrats who fought tirelessly in the state legislature will go door to door, talk on the radio stations, TV stations, and talk about us fighting for middle class, working class families, and Susana Martinez vetoing it.
The governor's chief strategist doesn't think the veto is going to hurt her and thinks the 30-cent raise, the compromise, would have been a lot better. Now, despite that veto, the governor did sign some other bills this weekend. 3 of them will make people elected to the Public Regulation Commission have more qualifications, including taking an ethics course. PRC has been in a number of scandals the past few years. Another bill helps the cash-strapped pension system for teachers. It'll make most workers pay more into their pension fund and lowers the cost of living increases for those who are already retired. Well, it is Wildfire Awareness Week, and Governor Susana Martinez is getting it started by signing 3 bills to support firefighters. She's also going to announce a new veterans firefighting program. The veterans, along with tribal, state, and federal firefighters, will all be with the governor at the Rio Grande Nature Center State Park this morning for the big announcements. A pay hike for Albuquerque city workers and millions of dollars for redevelopment. It's all part of Mayor R.J. Berry's budget for next year.
But this year's budget includes no tax increases. It includes no pay cuts. And it includes no layoffs.
Mayor Barry there wants all city workers to get a 1% pay raise, and he wants to hire people for 160 jobs that have been vacant. However, the firefighters union says even with the 1% raise, firefighters and police officers would still be making less, 1.5% less as a matter of fact, than they did a few years ago. The budget also includes $3 million for ABQ, the plan. It's a deal that would do some developing in the Bosque. Now, of course, this is all Mayor Barry's idea. It's his plan. The council still needs to approve it. The security guards on ABQ Rides buses say they are sick and tired of their bosses, and now they're going public with a vote of no confidence against them. The workers are set to talk about this outside of City Hall this afternoon. They're upset because they say they get into violent situations oftentimes on city buses, yet they don't carry guns. They also say they've talked with their managers about this, but haven't gotten any response. Well, a new plaque at a city hall in southern part of New Mexico is causing some commotion after a group says the word God should not be in government buildings. The Alamogordo Daily News says the city commission chambers there now have the words, as you see here, "In God We Trust." An atheist group objected to the phrase before it even went on display. The Daily News reports the group is arguing that city leaders shouldn't use their positions in government buildings to promote religious views. The mayor says this issue is not religion, but rather liberty and freedom. Well, imagine having to pay back your tax refund. Yep, that's what nearly 24 people in the northern part of the state are having to do after police say a tax preparer in Espanola filed fake returns. John Alex Salazar is now indicted on 16 counts of tax fraud worth more than $40,000. The state says everyone who had Salazar do their taxes and got extra money back has to pay it all back now. The Albuquerque police are now on the hunt for a woman who could be connected to a burned out car with a body inside. They want to find this young lady, Guadalupe Lopez, thinking she could be connected to a Ford Mustang. It was reported stolen, then found on fire on Friday behind the Walmart on Coors near I-40. When firefighters got the fire out, they found a woman's body in the trunk. Police will not say how Lopez could be connected to the car, only that they don't know where she is and they want to check on her. They also want to find out more about the Mustang.
Of course, the investigation is ongoing. We're looking into maybe we can obtain video or anything of that vehicle that may have been in the area prior to the fire.
Police are also still trying to find out who was the woman inside the Mustang. For now, they are treating this as a homicide. Later today, we could learn the name of a pilot from New Mexico who died after crashing his plane in Colorado this weekend. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office sent us these pictures of the crash from Franktown, Colorado, a small town between Colorado Springs and Denver. The plane was a vintage Cherokee Piper. The pilot, we were told, took off from Sandia Air Park in Edgewood on Saturday and was headed to see his girlfriend, but he never made it. The FAA is now investigating. Well, the man at the center of a big pot bust in Albuquerque is now out of jail. Nee Galloway was in court this weekend after investigators raided his house near Paradise Northwest on Thursday. They say they found 3 rooms filled with pot plants and all the equipment needed to keep them growing.